Hello and good morning, everyone. It's Dixie from A2K, and thanks for joining us for today's webinar, What's New in Civil 3D 2022. Technical consultant Dean will be presenting for us today. So before we start, we'll just go through about A2K, all about fostering innovation through consulting and training. A2K Technologies plays a vital role in helping infrastructure, building, mining, construction, architecture, and manufacturing industries reach their full potential by delivering complete technology solutions and support services such as education and consulting. Working visionaries to shape the future of design and in turn enable them through innovation to minimize risks, improve productivities and achieve excellence. ArcGIS Technologies is considered the business partner of choice and trusted advisor by vendors and clients. We partner with major software and hardware vendors to meet clients' technology needs. We strive to exceed client expectations by pinpointing their challenges and delivering solutions through experience and innovation. We work with clients and companies of any size nationally and abroad.
Perfect, thank you. All right. Welcome along, everybody. For those who haven't worked with me or met me before, that's a picture of me up in the corner there. And I started off as a structural engineer, became a roading engineer with the council, and I've been doing this job supporting the Autodesk civil products and training in them for the last sort of 14 years or so. So the idea behind this little webcast is to go and have a look at what's new in the 2022 version of Civil 3D. Now, as was mentioned in the flyers for this webcast, the updates for Civil 3D are basically being brought out in the last couple of years anyway, as incremental updates. So there's sort of 2 or 3 updates to Civil 3D throughout the year, rather than one large one when it switches up to a new version. So we don't have a large change this time, but we do have a few nice little things that we can look at for you over this little webcast. And we'll actually have a look at a couple of older ones at the end as well, 2021 or late 2021 updates you may not have picked up on. So this being only a small number of things to look at may not take the whole hour, but we'll see how we go. So we're going to have a look at, first of all, some alignment and spiral changes, a little bit about pressure pipes and ArcGIS import. Then we'll look at a little bit more of the pressure pipes, what functionality we've actually got in those, and Project Explorer for those who haven't seen that before, just at the end. Now, if you've got questions as we go, there should be in your webinar toolbar a little Q&A box or a chat box or both. You can put any questions, type any questions in there as we go. And if we have a little bit of time at the end, we can go and have a look at those before we close up. All right, so the idea is not to do this as a massive PowerPoint. So let's do a little demo, shall we? So off into Civil 3D land, 2022 version. Now, the start page here is very similar to what was at the end, at least, of 2021 version. However, some of you may not have noticed this little orange button on the right-hand side here. That is a connect button, they call it. When little changes and updates to the software are brought out, Autodesk is going to use that to notify you of them. So you may want to just keep that open at the corner of your page so you can see when those sort of things happen as the year progresses. It's also got a button here for send feedback. So if you've got an idea of something that would be good to incorporate into the software that you want to send to Autodesk, that's what that's for, rather than having to go to Chase to find the right page up on the web to do that, which we've had previously. All right, so let's go open a first drawing. We're going to have a look at some alignment changes. There's alignments. The country kit is out for 2022. It came out very quickly this year, which is excellent. Though the first update is not out yet. We just are on update 0 at the moment. So the first thing I wanted to have a look at was these connected alignments. Now, these have been there for a little while, but there has been a couple of changes added in. So for those who haven't seen these before, we're going to have a look at these and point out the changes. There is what this is used for is when you're doing your own construction of a intersection or similar. you want to make a curve return between two alignments. In this case, offset alignments that don't have to be. And then you can construct your own model around that. But the nice thing is they stay joined together. So if I was to carefully move one of these, you can see it's like the intersection builder, that curve return alignment is going to move with it. They do have profiles associated with them as well. So I'm going to have a look at that too. So as an example of how you build one of these, down here, I'm going to pick a pre-existing alignment. Up in the ribbon, going to go offset alignment in the launch pad. Build a couple of offset alignments either side. I'm just going to accept the default 3 meter spacings, but you can set them to whatever you want them to be. Don't need widening criteria. We do want to do this though. Create an offset profile. Now this isn't new in 2022, but I'm pointed out anyway. You have the ability to, for each of these offsets, have the software work out a profile on that alignment based on the crossfall from the center line. So I'm going to give it a -3% slope, cross slope from the parent profile. If you don't want to create those, you untick this piece at the top. I think that's all I'm going to need there. Profile style can be whatever. And go OK. All right, so having done that, we want to make the little curve return profile in here. So I'm going to pick one of my offsets that I've just made. Up in the ribbon, in the launch pad, is connected alignment. I think you'll find it's on the home tab, alignment commands as well. So I click on connected alignment and it says select the alignment you want to connect to, which is going to be the offset on the other road. Select the location for the offset alignment. So click where you want your curve return to go, and it's going to go in there. When you're happy with that, go enter. And we can give it a name, whatever we want. I'm going to leave it as it is, default. But you'd probably call it curve return, what, southwest, that would be. Down here, though, is the interesting things. There's the style and some labels. Okay, that's fine. We don't need design criteria for that one. There are parameters. So you do want to look at this. At the moment, it is got these new ones. So new in 2022 are these 3 middle ones that are curve returns that actually have spirals as a transition. Now, I don't know many times or many people I've seen in Australia and New Zealand needing that yet. Obviously, there must be some people somewhere in some part of the world that do. But if you do need those, that's now available. More usual would be the 3-centered arc in this part of the world. So I'm going to go 3-centered arc. And if you want to change the parameters of those, that's this button on the right. Go and change the parameters. Now this offset here, that is if you had not created your offset alignments. You could actually create it on 2 centerline alignments and just tell these curve returns to be offset from the center lines on either side, rather than creating these offset alignments. But I actually like the offset alignments. I think it probably gives you a bit more control. So I'm going to not do offsets. I'm going to go 0 and 0, and just so it matches the intersection builder where people would be used to, I'm going to do a 10-meter connection overlap, which is the extensions on either side of the curve return down the incoming and outgoing road. Nice button that we have here now is the preview button, and shows you what you've drafted. Make sure it's going to fit. It'll put up a message if you've got these numbers wrong and they're not going to fit. But that's all looking good to me. Now, the bit where it's going to make an actual profile for this, and it's actually quite nice, is to go to the connected profile tab here. So we leave that ticked on. Yes, we do. We're not going to need these cross slopes. It's only going to need those if you haven't done your offsets and you're doing typing in the offset from a center line that you want. So we can untick those cross slopes. They probably wouldn't be used anyway. And down the bottom here, we have a parabola with a curve length of currently 2 meters. Now there may be, I need to test a little bit more, there may be a little bit of a bug involved around that size there when you type it in. When I was trying this earlier on, I had a larger number, 25 meters or something in there. I tried to bring it down to 2 meters to give me a more manageable curve, and it is going to put a curve in the profile, which is what I wanted to point out here. I couldn't do that, so I had to actually go, it wouldn't work for me. So I went into the command settings in the background and change that. So the default was what I wanted it to be. I'll have a work to Autodesk about that. It may be a little bug that needs fixing. However, when we go OK, we'll create my alignment here. And if I then pick it, make a long section out of it, surface profile, add in the EG, draw it, create it over here somewhere, we should see that we have, it's drafted in a little curve in here. So it's worked out the intersection point of that road coming in, that one going out, and worked out that's where the IP point should be. But just a regen, it may put a better looking curve on there. There we go. And then we can start playing around with that and moving it around. Although in the case of a single curve, you won't be able to move it around in terms of the IP point really, or else you're breaking tangents at the ends or grades, but you can make that curve as big as it will fit in there. So that's nice that it does that. And the intersection builder doesn't do that if you are familiar with it. It doesn't put those curves in. So this is something newish. If we're looking at the case of this one up to the north here, it actually put in a reverse curve. And again, you can stretch those out to as wide as you want them to be. Now, that's not going to allow me to stretch. I don't have a lot of space there to stretch that one out. But in this case, you can actually start playing around with it. Ideally, you'd want to lock the grade on that side and move it to somewhere else. Then you'll be able to stretch it out. Use those grips to position the low points and things like that without changing the grade between the two. I need to make it smaller here. Move that to the side. And then look at your K values and things in your geometry editor for those profiles in here. And make sure it's going to be acceptable for your design. K values and lengths of your parabolas that it's put in there. All right, so that's nice. Now, I have tested this with the intersection builder. The intersection builder still does not put in these curves in the profiles for us. Hopefully, now that we can see this, we will be getting that at some stage, but I have not heard anything about that yet, but now fingers crossed. Just to show you it again on the other side, just to prove that these reverse curves do work, let's do a connected alignment between that one and this one. Click in there. It's going to be design criteria not used, parameters are 0, 0. Again, these things will be set in the command settings in the background. I'll leave it 25 meters, going 3 center dark there. Preview it, make sure I've got the numbers right. Yeah, it's looking fine. And then get rid of those cross slopes. We'll put our 2 meter default there, and then we can stretch it out to what we want later on. Go okay, and it's as simple as that, just like I showed in the first instance, but except this time, when we make a, pick it by itself would be a good thing, when we make a surface profile out of it, and you can see I'm using the country kit here. Let's put that in. Now, this one is ridiculously steep. I can just zoom in. It'll need a region when you zoom in, basically. REA to give you the nice smooth curves. Of course, I've got a lot more space in this particular one, so I can smooth that out. This is 5 times vertical saturation. But as you can see, it's put those curves in automatically. And you can stretch them out and put your low points and things like that. Or in this case, I might try and stretch that one back a bit to give us more space, and that one there, make it a bit smoother, you know. But it just worked out some intersection points, and then you just got a single grip to move them. Now, they are dynamic to the profiles of the center line coming in. So here's my side road up the top here, and you can see in order to get the reverse curve, I've played around with it. But if I pick that now and move that up to somewhere else, you'll see it automatically changes. Now, what it won't do is change the position of these IP points automatically. So what you'd actually want to do is grab the one that's out of place, match its grade to that, and then you've got a fix. This one down the bottom, it should have made the solution. No, still need to do the same. I was going to say, well, it did make the solution slightly better on there because it's not such it's extreme angle coming in. But again, there'll be one IP point you do need to move and get the grades in line, which could draft with the polyline, but eyeballing it's pretty easy. And will be pretty close, especially if your curve is actually starting right back here. It's going to be indistinguishable. All right, so that's quite nice, and hopefully, I'm hoping that we might see that in the intersection builder in the not too distant future. It would be nice. Okay, so that is the connected alignments and the ability to put spirals for the instead of a 3-centered arc in these transitions if you really want them. Talking of spirals, there is, just pick any old alignment, doesn't matter which, go into the geometry editor here. There is a couple, for those who are doing highway design, there are a couple of new spiral types or ways you can enter spirals. These ones here, a free reverse spiral to curve to spiral to spiral. So getting a bit technical there, but you can do some slightly more technical things in there, which would have been hard to construct previously. So these three bottom ones, spiral to curve to a spiral, and a spiral to curve to spiral between two curves. So a whole bunch of different ways they've added in there. More technical. I mean, there's probably not many cases when you're going to need to do that, but it's nice. Those are just new. Again, it's just an incremental update, not a major thing, but for those who need it, it will actually be useful. Okay, so that's 2022. Other things in 2022, pressure pipe spanning labels. That's new. Let me open up another one. Okay. I might just go back, just in case we need to go back. This one I'm going to do a save there. All right, in the pressure pipes. In 2022, there's a new element or new label type. So when you've got a large section of pipes, these pressure pipes are actually pretty cool. They have made some changes to these things, and hopefully I'll be doing a webcast shortly on those for use in this part of the world with the ANZ Country Kit and pipes for this part of the world. Previously, catalogues have been Hi, back again. Let me just share my screen. Okay, sorry about that. It looked like my internet dropped out. It looks like, well, that's one. Just before I started this, but obviously it's decided to drop out anyway. Hopefully we won't get that happening again. So what I was saying is there is this ability now to add what's called spanning pressure pipe labels in plan or profile. You just do a plan here one, you choose a pressure pipe, and you can say, well, I want to label all of these right down to this one here. So I pick the last one I want, and it will highlight the pipes in between those. If that's all the ones you want, you go enter to specify the label location, which pipe do you want this label to actually be attached to. That's going to label all three of those. And if they're all, well, sorry, all four of those, if they're all the same type, you're going to get a label like this, which is labeling all of them. And this is just the default label here, but it's got the white Rhino 150 pipe size and the designation and things like that. And the layer it's on, that's not ideal, but you can make up these labels like any other label. However, if one of the pipes is not the same, so if I go in here and right click and go swap pressure part, if I make it a different pipe, I'll just change the size maybe. Make a big one. It's not made fittings and things at the end. You can see my label's broken now. It's just got question marks instead of the pipe size. So, okay, that's quite nice. Some people have been asking for those, especially in the long sections as well. They've just wanted one label that'll label a whole bunch of pipes. As long as they're the same, you can use these types now. If they're not the same, you're not going to get the full label. But I guess that makes sense. So that is the new in 2022 pressure pipe spanning labels. Now, next thing to look at, a little bit about the ArcGIS connector. I just mentioned this in passing under, where is it? Under the insert tab in the ribbon, we've got the Autodesk connector for ArcGIS, where it's been there for a couple of years now, where you can connect to a published ArcGIS web what do you call it, web interface. So if somebody's actually published their GIS information to the Esri web interface, you can read it and bring it into Civil 3D now if you've got access to it. For those who are using that, basically in 2022, the change they've made is that when you're reading in a raster image, you can choose the resolution of that image now. It looked like you couldn't do before. So you can choose a lesser resolution rather than a full resolution image if it's too much detail for your drawing. But I'm not going to go into that at this point. There's not many people actually using that. I'm sure if you are using that, you'll see that that function when you're going to bring in a raster image. All right, in terms of other things we can do, so in terms of 2022, we also, of course, get the AutoCAD functionality for 2022. Now, the thing I found just recently, which is actually pretty cool, if I make my, well, pretending I have two screens that you're able to see, I've never had the luxury of two screens, but a lot of you have two or more. What people have often wanted is to have one drawing open on one screen and one drawing open on another. Previously, you had to start a new instance of Civil 3D, and that would probably consume a license if you have multiple licenses for your company, and that would be annoying. What you can do now is simply go up to your Drawings tab up top here, click and hold on Drawings tab and drag it off and put that on another monitor. So we don't have to span Civil 3D across, well, we could have done that, I guess, is span Civil 3D across many or a couple of monitors and then had the two drawings open spanning Civil 3D across the monitor, but we don't have to do that now, and that wouldn't have consumed another license. We can actually go and rip one off as a window, put it on another screen. We can jump between the layouts over in that drawing, and it's all running through the same license, which is nice. And you can obviously place it anywhere you want. And when you want to bring it back, you simply bring it back, pop it back up into the tabs up the top here, and it pops back into place as you'd expect where you'd put it there. So that's quite nice. That's AutoCAD functionality, in fact. And we've talked about the start page little piece, what's it called, connect part over here before. And that's really the two notes I had from AutoCAD itself, which is probably going to be useful to most engineers. There are other bits and pieces in AutoCAD, like counting blocks and things like that. If you use blocks a lot in your civil 3D drawing, it's probably more applicable to the architects and things, I suppose, when they've got tables and filing cabinets and things like that. So pretty much in a nutshell, those are the main 2022 extras. Now, what I wanted to look at was, first of all, let's have a bit of a closer look at these pressure pipes. As I said, they are coming in, or hopefully a webcast we'll be doing shortly. But there are these things called pipe runs. Now, if I pick some of these pipes that I've put in here, and that is the default, lay things out by pipe run these days. When I pick a pipe, it shows me the whole series of pipes with effectively an alignment drawn through the middle of them. I can grab the grip on the alignment and move it to somewhere else. Actually, I won't do it on this one. There's one over here with some labels on it. Here we go. I suppose it doesn't matter which one. There's a 45-degree bend there. If I pick that and I move the grip of the alignment such that we're getting close to a 90-degree bend, I'll put it about here somewhere, it automatically changes the bend to the closest angle with the same pipe size it can find. So that gives us a lot of functionality to move these things around. Now, if it's not quite 90, it will still put a 90 bend in there, but it will fudge the end of it. So you'd have to sort of bend those two pipes a little bit, or there might be a little bit of play in the fittings that you get that much angle change. And there is actually a way to analyze that. So this is the sort of stuff that I want to have a look at later on with these pipe runs. Now, the pipe runs I found in 2021 were a little bit fickle in that sometimes when you open up a drawing, it would no longer work. So if you close and save a drawing, then you open it again in 2021 version, 21.2 version, you pick one of these and the alignment wouldn't be there, which was very annoying. You could recreate them, but it's pretty annoying. What I've noticed in 2022, that doesn't seem to be a problem. So it looks like it's an error or bug that they've fixed. So that's very good if that's the case. And so far, that's always been the case in 2022 when I've opened things up. As well as that pipe run functionality, what that also gives you is in the long section. So this is a long section I just made out of that pipe run. We can do a bit of drafting if we want to make a drop down in our pipes. If you've got another service in here that you've already got the location for, and you need to get your new pipe around it, we can simply pick a pipe, and as it's part of a pipe run, you get a mimic of a profile. In this case, it's the ground profile up the top here. So we can simply, up in the ribbon up the top, go add a bend or PVI, and we can simply snap. So we're going to need one here, aren't we? Pop one there, pop one there, pop one there, and pop one there. Now, this is a one-to-one exaggeration, so it's getting my 45-degree bends in there for my trace. And if we're going to have a look at that in the plan view, looks like it's here it is. Grab those, have a look in the object viewer. We should find that it's actually created those in 3D space for us. Now, these previously were all had to be laid out in 3D space, and it was a bit of a palaver to do so, but they've changed it now to these pipe runs, which effectively alignment and long section to manipulate these, which makes things a whole heap easier for us engineers who are used to working with alignments and long sections. So that's pretty cool. So I do want to do a webcast on that shortly, so keep an eye out for that one. But I thought I'd just give you a sneak preview there for the changes that they've made at the end of 2021 version that are carrying through even better into 2022. All right. The other thing I had on the list was the Project Explorer. Now, let me open up another drawing here. Save that one. Project Explorer, here we go. Now, Project Explorer is a new function. It's not in Civil 3D by default, so it is an extension that you go and download from your Autodesk account page. The difference, or slight difference, in Civil 3D is in 2022 is they've actually moved it to the home page when you install it. It's going to show up right here next to your tool space. So what it is, and I'll point out while I'm talking about it as a download, I did have an issue with this Project Explorer when I installed it, broke my country kit, and actually broke the install of Civil 3D through the country kit. So I found what I had to do was actually use the Windows uninstalled utility, which is a Microsoft download. To actually remove it, I couldn't remove it any other way, to get it cleanly uninstalled, and then reinstall Civil 3D, put the Project Explorer on first, and then put the country kit on. So just be aware of that one. If that does happen, just put the country kit on last, and it did seem to work for me in terms of what I found. So in the Project Explorer, just explain what it is. The drawing itself is a database of all the objects and things in the background. So this is a modeless dialog box. You can sit it on another screen or just have it sitting up there. And essentially this is reading your drawing in a text format. So in here, we've got several alignments. I can go and choose a different alignment. That's my pipe alignment there. And it gives me a little diagram up the top. You can scan through different locations there. Probably that doesn't make much sense to have. Let's have the, what is it called? Side 3. No, not that one. It's this one in the background. So being a modeless dialog box, I can just scan in. Utility 3, that's what I'm looking for. Utility 3 alignment here. And there are all the profiles on that particular alignment in the long section view. And I can go and zoom in or highlight a particular profile if I want in there. So I've got a design profile there at the moment, and I've got a layout profile, which is actually my design. And then these are all the parts of that. So if I click on a section here, it's going to show you the location of each of those IP points. Then you can actually look at the layout profile entities, and so that's the first straight, and then you've got a symmetric parabola in there, and so on and so forth. Now the things about these, and you've got PVI points as well, is that you can actually change things in here if you really want to. So rather than having to graphically edit things up in the drawing itself, you can change things here. Now this one is that's displayed. I'm not sure if this is displayed. I might have turned it off. Let me just turn that one on for you. Edit profile view properties. Go to the profiles. Yeah, it's turned off. Okay, so even though it was turned off in the drawing, the style is terrible. We're actually seeing it in here anyway because it's part of the drawing, and this is effectively reading the database off the drawing. So if I go to one of my PVI stations, let's click on this one, which should be here, which should be that one by the look of it. I can actually change things in here numerically if I want to. So I can have this up all the time. We can be changing things like the PVI elevation. Yeah, if I make that, oops, that's not one I can change. I think they've got to be purple to let me change them. Yeah, I think they do. Okay. What I meant to show you is some things can be changed. Let's try a pipe. So up in the top here, we do have 2022. We can read pressure networks. You couldn't previously, so that's nice. Go back to my pipe networks as one of those. There's my pipe network. If the ones that are purple, you can change. Okay, so it looks like the alignments and profiles you can't actually change through here, which is interesting. Certainly feature lines you can. See these purple ones, these are the ones you can change. So I can actually go into here and make that one set a value of, I don't know, 81. Go okay. See it changed here. Let's make it really big. Let's make it 91. There we go. Got a big spike in my feature line there. And if we actually go and have a look in my drawing, there's my feature line. Object here. Should have, yep, there's a big spike in the feature line now. Okay, so we can actually change the drawing through that interface when you want to. Now, that's quite good, but there is a nice little thing I want to draw your attention to here, which is that you can edit the pipe run. And this is something, well, there was a little extension for Civil 3D that would do it before. You can set a uniform grade along a series of pipes. So if I select that one, that's the structures, I go to the pipes in here, I can click on a pipe that's got minimum pipe cover violated, so all those things come up in here. But if I choose that one and hold down Shift and the bottom one, it highlights those pipes. And I can say, you know what, I'm going to go edit pipe run. What do I want to do to those pipes? I'd like to have a hold the pipe run start elevation. So up here, the start. And then I'd like to, that's my end elevation there. I'm going to keep that hopefully as well. But I'd like to set and hold the pipe elevation. No, I want the grade. That's elevation change. That's the slope, 4.9. We're going to use the invert to match those. So that's my start, hold the start. That's my end elevation. And when I go, it's worked out that's the combined slope, 4.9%. I think that's what it's going to apply to all of them. Let's have a go. We go okay. Yep. Though I got my, oh no, it's done from right from the beginning. Okay, so it's giving me 4.9 all the way through there. That's not right. So let me do an undo. And we should get back to where we were, I think. There we go. I want to maybe do it between there and there. I think I only had those ones selected, didn't I? Yeah, I definitely did. Edit pipe run. We've got the structures. Oh, we've got the structures here, start and end structures, does it by structure. Okay, well, let's do it by structure then. So let's go to the structures tab. I want that one, shift to that one then. Now let's see if it's going to do it. Pipe run. No, maybe you need to set it here, start structure. Okay, that was working last when I tried it, but of course being a live demo, it's never going to work how you want it to. I'm pretty sure it was just selecting them like that. Okay, maybe, no, I thought it was pretty sure it was this one I tried it in, pipe run. If we do it that way. No, these aren't pipe runs. One more go there. So we can get this one set constant depth or cover for those pipes. That's quite nice. Reference line, no. Okay, so go get a pipe run with those. Just see if it's no. It's still going from 1N7. All right, I'm missing something there. But as you can see, it set all of those. When in testing, when I tried this, I was able to do it just over certain ones. I'm just not getting that now, which is a bit annoying. No, okay, I'll leave that for now. However, the concept is being able to edit the drawing through here. What it also gives you the ability to do is to go and make reports out of here, which is actually something I hope will work. So in here, we've got our feature line. I can take that feature line and I can drape it on the surface. So up in the ribbon, I'm going to go drape that feature line on the surface called, now I've got two, one, a surface called as-built and a surface called design. I'm going to drape it on the one called design. And the idea is to compare a as-built design against a design against an as-built survey that you've done. So I'm going to drape it on that. I'm not going to insert intermediate grade waypoints. Go OK and pick that one. So just those endpoints are going to be set on the ground surface. I can then have a look at that feature line here, which has got my spike taken out of it now. So each of those vertexes are on the ground surface through here. And at each of those locations, I want to check what the actual as-built surface is in relation to the design. So up the top here, I can go compare to. I'm going to compare this feature line to the as-built surface. Having done that, you get down here, compared elevation. And if you're doing it with alignments and things, oh, here we go. There's the offset. Sorry, the offset is the set elevation. So that's the actual elevation of the surface underneath those points, and this is the difference between the at those points, the vertexes of that feature line, the difference between the as-built, which is the green dashed line up here, and the design, which is the feature line itself, the white one. So a nice little comparison tool, and you can actually export this whole lot out to Excel. So if you right click on here, right click on there, go quick report to file, it'll just take everything out of there, and you can customize these using the preferences and layout down the bottom to change your table, but you can export it out to Excel. You can make a quick report to an AutoCAD table, which is dynamic, so that's cool, or out to a separate AutoCAD drawing, which probably won't be dynamic. If I just go to a file here though, we got, I don't want PDF, I want CSV. Use the layout of that window, it should do, go OK. I'll put it into my desktop. Yep, have a look at it. And it spits it out. And you can obviously go and collimate all of this and set it out as how you want to have it with titles and things in Excel. All right, so much easier to customize and actually gets extra functionality than what we would have had previously in the toolbox over here, which is always pretty much stuck with what came with the install of Civil 3D or the country kit. Very little change was able to be made in those. In fact, by normal users like you and me, none was able to be made. I did ask Autodesk once to make one of these, and they said no, they didn't even want to do it. So now we can do them in here, which is pretty cool. All right. So for me, that's about as much as I had down on the list of things to look at. So I think we can probably go to the questions part. So let's have a look. There's a few questions being put in here. I can see Q&A. Connection types of gravity networks to show connections between main lines and lot connections. So there's a question here about have I heard anything about different connection types of gravity pipes to give a connection between main lines and the lot connections, which would be the laterals Replacing a null structure? No, at this point, I don't believe, well, I haven't seen anything so far about lateral connections. Move a pipe. Oh, yes. Now, the other question here, another thing that we've always had to do is when you have a gravity pipe system, I'll probably show this one. Back into Civil 3D, here we go. In this one, close Project Explorer. If I've got a pipe network, where's my pipe network? Up in here. When I move a structure, you've got to remember to also move the alignment to keep the long section running through the middle of your pipes. Now the question was, have you seen anything to have those two stick together? No, currently not. And both of those things would be good things to ask through the start page, and that connection you've now got to the Autodesk developers. Where it was, where am I? Back in here on the start page. It's going to go through there. No, to close that first. This connect and send feedback. When they get enough people asking the same questions, that's when they start building those components in. So that would be worth doing for those two questions. Cut fill data. They want to get cut fill data. Sorry, just reading this question. When we show cut fill in profile and cross-section views, yeah, we are unable to find an automated way to extract cut fill data. Oh, okay, not the finished levels, cut fill data. Okay. Oh, to an Excel file or Word file. Okay. So I think what they're saying here is when you've got a long section or cross section, that where are we? Switch back. Where are we? Pressure pipes. I guess that one would do. That drawing. When we have a the table down the bottom here, you've got cut fill data. Presumably it's the depths here. I haven't got the set up here, whether it be +1, -1, whatever the cut fill is between those two surfaces or any two surfaces. Exporting that to Word or Excel, no, it doesn't have that, although you could get a lot closer to that now, and probably almost exactly, I guess, in the Project Explorer now. So not out of the long sections and cross sections to Excel, no, those things don't go out, but you should get some of that information now in the in Project Explorer. An as-built check with a pipe network? I don't think so. So comparing a design pipe network to, well, I guess it would be a surveyed feature line. So if we're looking at a feature line, oh yeah, we can compare to a pipe. Okay, well maybe you can. I haven't tried that, but your survey, as-built survey would be a 3D polyline of points that they've taken through a pipe network, presumably. So there'd be a pipe network running down through here. They'd go out once it's been built, sample the inverts through there. Then you would convert that 3D polyline into a feature line, and then you'd be able to read it through here as a feature line like this one, and that does have a compare to a pipe network. Now what that's actually going to give you, let's have a look compared to that. So you have a vertex presumably on each manhole, and then it should give you the compared station, easting and northing. You have to play with that when you've actually got an actual network and as-built to use, but it looks like, yes, it looks like you can do, which is actually quite nice. Quite nice. Can we do the reverse? We compare a pipe network to no, only to a surface. So you do it through the feature line way. Looks like the way it would go, which is quite nice. Where can I get the ANZ country kit? Because I haven't been able to find it. back here, if I bring up my browser, all you need to type in is ANZ country kit. And it don't even need AutoCAD or Civil 3D, and it'll go straight through and find that for you. And in here, you've got the 2022, 2021, 2020. These ones back to 2020, I think, are MSI files, self-extracting installer files, much easier than the old version to use. So there it is. Yep, not too hard. Just Google search for ANZ country kit. And for pipe networks, is there anything on being able to easily amend the connection point of pipes at the structure to be at the edge, not the center of the structure? Excellent question. It's coming. So, whoops, sorry. Go back to Civil 3D. So the question is, what they want is to be able, rather than a pipe connecting at the center, being able to connect it to, I won't be able to do it because it'll snap to the center, to an edge, in which case you can have them coming off at different angles. So that is part of the new pipes coming through from InfraWorks. So they've been building those for quite a while. It's a thing called Project Chameleon. If you have a look in your, when you go and edit a pipe network, in your toolbar for editing pipe networks is this thing here, the structure insertion point. And that's when we get the new pipe types, we're going to have the ability to snap it onto the edges of structures. Now, they've been working on it for quite a long time. It's not complete yet, as far as, well, it's not out yet. It's still in beta testing. However, that will be coming. It has been worked on for a long time. I suspect it's still going to be somewhat longer because I haven't heard anything about it for probably a year or so. However, that is what that actually is. So when we get those, they will be new catalogs of pipes and structures. I have had to play with the beta, and that was about a year or even two ago. There are a limited number of structure and pipe sizes that you can. I was able to test it with, but it did actually work. It snapped to the edges of either square structures or circular structures. And they can come off at different angles and things like that, but they still stay stuck and will be able to be analyzed when they go out to a analysis package as well. So water flow will still be able to be traced through them, even though they are connected to the edges of the structures. So it is coming, but not yet. All right, and that's the end of my Q&As that I've got here. So back to the little PowerPoint. Having finished the questions, if you want to see the upcoming webinars and things that we've got going, please visit the A2K Technologies page or webpage, a2ktechnologies.com.au/events, or just go to A2K Technologies and look for the events up the top of the screen. And for any further questions, whoops, that's right. For any further questions you may have, you can pop them through to info@a2ktechnologies.com.au, and that's an email, and the appropriate person will get back in touch with you. So thank you very much for everybody for tuning in to watch this little webcast. Look out for some more coming up, and otherwise have a very nice middle of the week to you, and we'll catch you on the next one.